Hello and welcome to Oldale Remastered, an interactive experience for my final game project. I'm just going to talk through different aspects of things as I play through. So first off we have the main menu, which initially pauses the game, which allows for the game to render in a bit faster, load textures, etc. And quit, obviously, leaves the game, play starts it. There is a mouse cursor visible, it's just hidden because of the recording software. I'm going to hit play. So we've got UI elements and a transition screen. Also we have an idle rotating camera, which are all done with widget blueprints and standard blueprints, which detect the movement and then spin around. These pop-ups indicate the levels are also blueprints, which are coded to take a custom texture and check against the last used texture to show if it should pop up again. So, you can't see the collision, but if we walk out and walk back through it, it doesn't pop up again. The first thing we'll do, we've got items here. Items all use the same blueprint and swap out the mesh and the name value that they each possess, and that allows me to create different items with the same effects. So the particle effect, which I made in Cascade, adapted in a tutorial. So as you can see on the screen, we've got an interact prompt. So press E, the count increases, and we get a title pop up with the name of the item that we picked up. So now as we reach the Pokémon Center, I added a couple of components. So we have a door that opens and a forced walk mechanic where when we're inside the Pokémon Center or the Pokemon, no matter how many times I press shift, I can't sprint. We've got the PCs, bookshelves, map of Hoenn and Nurse Joy, as well as the waiting area and the Pokemon machine. I'll go back out again. These signs each use easy to read text elements just so it's easy to navigate, but I think I'd replace these for custom font elements if I was able to. Moving on, we're going to look around some different areas, collect some Pokeballs, Ultra Balls, and have a look around. So a lot of the level is adapted from the original concept of the two houses opposite each other. In this case, I've changed that into 4 houses, so 2 on each side, and put them around a central area, which in the original concept is a small flower garden. Obviously these are from the original Pokemon series, which was a lot more difficult to... not difficult, that's the wrong choice of word. They were a lot simpler. So I've expanded to add some extra content. We've got leaf particle systems, which just spawn leaves in the air, and it gives them all a general acceleration towards the waterfront. We've also used the flowers to let the player know which side they're on. Blue's on the Pokemon side, orange on the Pokemon Center side, and we've also used yellow flowers, and the purpose of the yellow flowers is to guide the user to secret areas like this one. Nearly all of these props are modelled by me as well. The exception are some of the ground foliage and some of the rocks, majority of the rocks, which are Megascan's assets, and also the landscape terrain itself are Megascans textures. However, the material I've created to weight blend between the painted layers to create these landscape material textures of grass, which allows it to scatter grass across anywhere that's got the ID. The flowers I created myself, as well as grass assets. I think, looking back, I think I'd use Substance Painter to recreate the landscape materials if I had time, but as it stands, I think they work just right as they are, and I've created a lot of assets, so saving time using Megascans seemed understandable. The Oldale Lake is a new addition to the Oldale town. It's not in the original, however I felt having an additional point of interest in the town made it interesting, so I added the lake in, so there's something to look at. The water textures created myself, and we added blocking volumes to prevent the player moving over the edge or falling into the water. Same around here. The NPC mannequins as well have got a custom idle animation, which is copied from the standard idle animation and tweaked, and then passed to an NPC class, so they all have an idle movement that isn't as hostile as the original. Another thing to note would be I use these fences just to break apart the different areas and biomes, so it forces players to move around the level and explore. As you can see a Pokeball over there and the yellow flowers, so we're going to move around, try and find a way to get to it. I think if I had more time, I'd adapt these standalone houses and make them a bit more visually pleasing. However, as deadline approaches, that's something else to consider. Last thing we're going to look at is the interiors of the Pokemon. I created all the items in this builder using references from the original game and the sprites. So we have different variations of potions, different variations of ethers, elixirs, status items, and revives. We have some made up drinks. Moon Milk is in the actual game, which I've redesigned the bottle for. However, we've added cans as well, and an animated title screen which uses two panners overlaid, and due to the nature of the fridges, the image itself lines up so it looks as if it's scrolling across the multiple screens, and I used the same kind of material outside on the exterior poster. This just adds a little bit of animation in the same way that the particle effects did to make the level seem a little bit more alive, and the similar reason I used it in that we used the animations of the characters. As you can see as well from the item, as we get closer, particle system toggles its visibility so that as you're running past, you don't really see it, and then it can catch your eye. It's probably better demonstrated in one of these areas. As we can see, yellow flowers again, which is designed to guide the player towards objectives. Oh, you can see the Great Mall, can't reach it, so we'll move around. The Pokeball Quest UI, so right in the bottom right hand corner, I set the second value, so the 12, to be, well, at the start of the level. It gets set by counting the amount of Pokeballs within the level and then storing them as a variable called max Pokeballs. So it does a check to see if all items of of the collectible item class within the level, and then stores the value so that I could add more or less Pokeballs, and it would refresh the quest, and then the current Pokeball number, as you can see, increments each time you pick up an item until you've reached the final item count. I'm just going to go find the last Pokeball. However, I've forgotten the order, so it's the last Pokeball, the one we saw earlier. I have done a simple change, so it transitions once the current Pokeball number is equal to the max Pokeball number, and it switches to the collected all Pokeballs. I'm just going to do a final run through the level, but overall, this is the experience here. Wander around the new and improved village, exploring, finding Pokeballs, and I'd say overall I'm very proud of this project. I've also got a pause menu, which can resume and quit. Use a simple pause and then a blur node to create the out of focus background image. But on that note, that's all.